Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. By-elections were held in 7 assembly states across 6 states throughout the country. Election results came out yesterday, and it's been a mixed bag of political signals. India Alliance, that is the opposition parties, won 4 seats, and BJP won 3. Of course, these by-election results do not point to a national pattern, but they do point out towards local calculations, the kind of shift which can be seen in as far as the political dynamics is concerned. What could be the issues which India bloc will raise, and how will they counter BJP? It does give a slight sense of what's coming in future. Joining me now is Trinamool Congress Rajya Sabha MP Jawhar Sircar. So thank you so much for joining. And today I'm also joined by Sameer Purkaista, who's our senior editor covering the entire Northeast. So he'll also be there questioning you, Mr. Sircar. But let me begin with the first question, that how would you really see the by-election results which have come, especially the prospects of TMC? Do you see this as a big shot in the arm? And you look fully geared up to counter BJP?
To me, they are a very optimistic sign, because you have to wade through a lot of wo to hona hi tha, that sort of a thing that the national media is putting out. Whenever the national media puts up, the Godi media, they're interchangeable terms. Whenever they put up such a stand, it's time to get suspicious. Now, let's analyze the results and you'll understand where there is a streak of hope. Okay, it is 4 out of 7. Those figures don't make much sense to the common voter. So if you start a little micro, and first we get to the 2 seats, jo hona hi tha, that sort of a thing. Both these seats were contested by widows of the old, the candidates who had held them for a long time. And to some extent, one could say that the results were always in their favor. So we take these 2 seats out. But before taking them out, these are Dumri in Jharkhand and the other Bageshwar in Uttarakhand. Before you take out Dumri and Bageshwar, there are 2 small interesting things that didn't miss my eye. One was that in Bageshwar, the SP had put up a candidate who got something like, how much? I have noted it somewhere. They got something like 637 votes. So, which still means that there's room for improvement of these alliances, number one. And in Jharkhand, which is basically a tribal state and a state of OBCs primarily, the AIMIM, which is now emerging as the biggest spoilsport, a mystery. Most people think that they are some sort of a cat's paw of the BJP, because all they do is, like the BSP, they go and spoil everybody else's vote. The AIMIM also put up a candidate in this thing. Of course, he was slaughtered. That's beside the point. So let's leave out 2 of the relatively easier seats, Dumri and Bageshwar. The third predictable seat went the predictable way, Puttapulli. It went in Kerala, it went the predictable way, but there are messages to be seen. Number one, the BJP was always way behind these seats. The BJP's vote has come down by almost half. That's a message that's very strong. It's come down by almost half in Kerala. As expected, Congress and the LDF fought it out, and the LDF is in government, but Congress seems to have reinvigorized itself. The Congress got about almost 40%, 45% more vote. But as I said, the interesting part is that while the Congress retained Woman Chandy's seat, which was expected, the left put up a very brave fight. It went behind hopelessly. But more interesting was that the BJP was receding into the horizon there in Kerala. Then comes Tripura. Tripura, I'll take out one seat first, and this is the site of what is that? Just tell me the name. I think it was Dhannagar. That there had two seats. One was Baksanagar, and the other was what was then? Just check it out. So there in that seat, there again it was BJP in the last occasion. So BJP just improved its position there. But the CPIM has a lot of allegations there of rigging, and they boycotted the counting and all that, and the margin seems to be a little on the much higher side. But the second seat is more interesting. This is the first victory that we come to in the 7. And the first victory is Baksanagar. Baksanagar seat belonged to the CPIM. In fact, both the seats were once with the CPIM. The earlier seat, the BJP managed to get it in the last elections and retained their seat this time. But Baksanagar was all through a Marxist seat. Baksanagar, the BJP won. But then you see with 89-90% voting, it sort of stares you in the eye. The CPIM went on complaining from day one that it was a one-way vote. There is a reason for the BJP to be a bit desperate in Tripura. Despite their capture of power, their margin is not very high. They're just 2 above majority. Now with this seat, they get 3. They had to retain 1 seat desperately. Otherwise, it becomes 1 above majority. So with these 2 seats, it becomes 33 out of 60. They still have to deal with the other parties.
Right.
So these are the 5 seats where 4 were more or less expected, but expectations meant also brought in certain other signs and issues. As I said, in Potapalli, you could see this. The margins mattered. The desperation of the BJP when its back is to the wall also matters. Now, in all these 5 seats that we have just spoken about, before we come to the 2 more exciting seats, the biggest loser has been the CPIM. The CPIM has lost in Kerala, and it has lost both its seats in Tripura. Now, when the Marxists talk of violence, in the present circumstances, they may have a grain of truth. But then people who are familiar with their techniques, at least in Bengal and Tripura, would know that they are the ones who sort of fine-tuned it. So today they are a victim of that same violence. But then the fact remains that in all the 3 seats, 2 in Tripura and 1 in Kerala, where they contested, they sort of faded out. It's a general fade out that's happening, so they have to make up their minds about a stronger alliance with other parties just to cling on against the tsunami that's happening. So they have to rethink it. So I'll be open to questions before we come to the 2 more exciting seats.
Right.
Sir, how do you see this this development vis-a-vis the India alliance? Because like in Tripura, only in Tripura, it seems that there were some sorts of unity among the opposition parties. The Congress, CPM fought together. Even the Tripura Malotha, who had earlier said that they will support this alliance, and later on they had, of course, changed their stand and said that they asked their voter supporters to vote to go for conscious vote. In again coming to Bengal, there you had a triangular fight. There is TMC, BJP, and the Congress and CPIM alliance. In Kerala, the fight was between the Congress and the CPIM. So basically, of these three states I mentioned, except for Tripura, the fight were basically there. This India alliance was at odds with each other, and in Tripura, where you had a kind of India alliance, there you had suffered reversal. So how do you see this for the India alliance?
Yes, sir.
Tripura can't be the role model. People who are familiar, as you are familiar with that region, they have broken the backs of all the parties. It's a terror state now, terror state. There were always allegations of violence in Tripura in the past, but now they've carried it to a fine art of eliminating all enemies. And so if the alliance doesn't have much of a foothold, which it didn't obviously, there was no question of holding it responsible or even thinking that it failed there. Because the alliance parties didn't have much of a, let's say, rooted fight there. So we have to leave Tripura aside. As I said, Tripura and this sort of totalitarianism has become part of the syndrome for quite some time. And but what we need to bother about is Kerala. Now, Kerala, the fact that the India alliance has come up doesn't eliminate in one stroke the age-old rivalries.
Absolutely.
Age-old rivalries would exist, I suppose. India is work in progress. India is work in progress, and as the more and more issues come up, more and more realizations come up.
Mr. Sarkar, what you're saying, and it is quite a natural question which Samir asked. The point is that despite the encouraging results which have come out from the by-elections, opposition bloc has won 4, BJP has won 3. It's been touted as one of the biggest shot in the arm for the India alliance. But the inner discord, the discordance within the India alliance looks more and more staring. It brings out the contradictions, the inherent contradictions more and more. So, which means back. Yes, sir.
In fact, except for Tripura, there was no India alliance. In Tripura only they fought as an India alliance.
No, that's not fully correct. I'll come to the 2 seats that mattered. I'll come to the 2 seats. It's not fully correct. In fact, as I'm trying to say that in Tripura, just a verbal assurance of being there was not very meaningful. That's what I'm saying. Because if the cadres are smashed and there was no open announcement that this is an India candidate, they fought as left candidates. There was no open announcement. How many posters did the other parties put up? So we'll have to get into further depth as to how much was the extent of support. As I said, it was more of a moral support, But the seat that mattered most is UP, Ghosi. Ghosi is something that you need to see to believe what can happen. Ghosi is the only seat that was truly India alliance seat. All the parties withdrew. They declared the support for the SP candidate. Even BSP, that's usually not seen around this thing. The BSP, they have a sizable Dalit population there. The BSP also lent its support there. Now, who is this candidate we are talking about, and what is how did he attract so much angst? This gentleman is known as Dara Singh Chauhan, and Dara Singh Chauhan is a frequent flyer. He has flown in all the parties. He holds a frequent flyer card. He has been part of the SP. He has been part of BSP. Along with the BSP, he has been receiving support from Apna Dal Sonelal. He has been a candidate of the BJP. He has been a candidate of the thing. This is a much-traveled man. The lessons of Ghosi are more apparent. And what are the lessons of Ghosi? A, if all the alliance partners get together, their strength increases. Number 1. Number 2, their margin increases. This was as SP seat to some extent, though it turned against. C is a lesson that I've been waiting to see. those who keep defecting cannot take the electorate for granted. These are important lessons, and I said that Ghosi is a remarkable feature. But more remarkable than Ghosi is the fact that the myth that all of North Bengal has slipped out of TMC's hand has been disproved. There was a wave, we can't deny it, in 2019. A lot of funds were pumped in, a lot of angst, negative angst was built up. A lot of promises were made to the Rajbanshis. A lot of promises have been made to the Namasudras of South Bengal. A lot of promises have been made to the Mahatos of Jharkhand and of Jharkhand and Purulia. But then by another few years, they realized that these are only promises. For the Namasudras, they said, we will get you citizenship certificate assured. And they're about to beat up their minister in the BJP cabinet. They're about to beat him up. He is hardly seen in that area. Because nothing of the sort, they just used him. So even the Rajbanshis are realizing that this is use and throw techniques. Yes, the margin has not been that fantastic, but the fact that they've won, and here I must compliment this young leader, Abhishek Banerjee. He went around canvassing and organizing it all. So in a way, it's also to do with Abhishek's Abhishek.
Right.
This sort
So
of
it's
thing.
like the emergence of Abhishek, you are saying, Abhishek Banerjee.
Abhishek was, I mean, the question is that Abhishek was there in politics, but field politics is something completely different. When I see the field politics near me, I ask for a glass of water because I'm not, I can't take that hurly-burly.
Mr. Sircar, it's an interesting bit what you're talking about Abhishek Banerjee, and I'm sure even the audience would want to know that when you talk about Trinamool Congress and when it comes to micro management, on the field of what you're talking about, say the recent by-election which has happened, it's Abhishek Banerjee and not Mamta Banerjee who's at the helm of affairs. It's Abhishek who's doing all the legwork.
So Abhishek was authorized to do this election. Authorized because there are various reasons. There are people who wanted to see how he can play on the pitch.
Okay.
That was one. So he played it on the pitch. He played it on the pitch in the Panchayat election, but big time election is something different. He played it. The BJP used all the sentiments possible. Got a CRP inspector's wife who had died. So they had a ready-made Shaheed. They had somebody who had been widowed. They had somebody who had died for the nation. So everything that was possible, they tried. And they had this undercurrent of support of a large section of the Rajbanshis, which can't be denied. But the fact that in spite of the opposition of two parties in North Bengal, because till now the alliance has not worked out these details, the TMC got it through by 4,500 votes, which is good enough. I mean, it's a salutary. So as I said, the two seats of interest are Ghosi and Dhupguri. Dhupguri and Ghosi are the ones that are encouraging. And Neelu, you had mentioned about Kerala being so painfully divided. Kerala was divided. Delhi would be belonging to two camps there, in the sense of AAP and Congress would be. They are the natural contestants.
Right.
How the natural contestants and old traditional rivals work out their alliances would be to see. You have to watch it.
Right.
1, 2, 3 meetings and you expect all things. Politics, it doesn't happen this way.
No, but sir, if you look at the total picture now, talking about all the 7 seats and 2, 3 very important points which you mentioned, that if you look at the India Alliance partners, if they fight together, of course, the alliance remains strengthened. The margins also increase. And another lesson that people who keep deflecting, the voters, don't take them very seriously. Now, these are 2, 3 important messages. But what are the biggest challenges which you see for India Alliance in the days coming now, in the run-up to the general elections? And of course, you have assembly elections also.
See, we are up against the worst sort of consolidation that's possible. Big money paying all the time, big consultancies, big agencies playing all the time, big money, big agency, mind control, media control, completely pulverized national media. It's only in the digital media that we have some breathing space. And in a couple of papers like the Telegraph or the Hindu. Hindu also remain a contested area, but Telegraph, Hindu, and Indian Express, really, I can't make up my mind. Because it's one article here, one article. It's like a chapati. You flip one side and flip the other side. But anyway, Indian Express does put up some brave articles. But accepting these things, 2 or 3 that you can count on your fingers, there's no national media that's speaking up and performing its duty. India shall remember these days. India will and shall remember these days, and what was the role of the media will be remembered. But those things, not those historical musings, not aside, I would still say you are up against a mind control device. A mind control device that is fed with fake news, fed with exaggerations, fed with one-sided things. It's going on. So many people's minds are already made up. They have been made up. 10 years is a long time. Whole generations have been brought up who were told in high school that this is it. If you are a patriot, you do this. Whole generations have been brought up now. A boy who was 15 or 14 when this regime came to power is today 24. And he's been caught at the impressionable age. This generation matters a lot. So we are up against a lot of odds. But then it is not only a common apprehension that binds it together, it's a common sense of duty that if we don't come together now, if we don't put up our fight now, why do we have to talk? What do we have to say later? So this will work itself out. Politics is not, let us say, Hindi cinema in the sense that they don't meet each other like 2 brothers who are separated at Prayag, Kumbh Mela, meet after 40, 30 years and come and hug each other. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It doesn't hug that.
Is that what you're saying, that emotionally and sentimentally, it seems that the India bloc is on an autopilot mode because the issues will keep coming together, but there is a common sense of duty which binds them, and there is no way that you will see them fragmented in any way?
I'm not speaking as a spokesman, but I'm using common sense of whatever little is left of it.
Okay.
You have to come to something like 400 seats.
Right.
If you have unity on 400 seats, with some amount of kitch here and there, some amount of kitch there, that will go on. I mean, that's part of it. That will go on.
In Bengal, that kitch in Bengal will go on?
We really don't know. We really don't know. Everybody knows that this Trinamool is in a sweeping position. It's a question of the lowest they can go down is 22, the highest they can go up is 36. So,
right.
I mean, that's what history has said.
Right.
So, we only hope it works out. So, right. And if you look at the Panchayat results, or if you look at the last assembly results, you will hardly find any seat that is under anybody's control. The last assembly results overwhelmingly show that 4 out of the 7 assembly constituents of parliament seat have gone. So even if it had been an old Congress seat, you'd find 4 to 5 constituents gone. Now, that is for the leadership to work out. But what I'm saying is, instead of looking at disunities and bemoaning, look at the broad unity of 400 out of 500. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
I'm not authorized.
Now, right. Now, you've given us a general sense of what you are expecting and how it needs to be projected. But now coming to a question on Sanatan Dharma, over which you keep writing also. And this morning when we were having the edit meeting, it was Samir who said that, oh, Mr. Sircar is there and we must question him on this. And I'll hand over the baton to Samir also in a bit. But my first question on this is that this entire debate after Udayanidhi Stalin has mentioned about Sanatan Dharma, it has actually snowballed into a controversy where people are seeing the entire narrative as something between Sanatan versus the social justice. Is it heading in that direction, sir? And then I'll hand it over to Samit.
I would put it this way. We have expressed our distress at any broad banding of broad brushing of any religion. Number one, we stay away from religion in politics, and we are fighting to see that religion and politics are separated. So our stand is very clear. Our stand is 100% secular. We do not believe in bringing religion into politics. And so Mamata Banerjee has also said that, others have also said that. I need not reiterate. But the explanation given by from the DMK side is what they meant was Brahmanic religion. What they meant by in Dravida parlance, or in the part of the Dravida movement, was anti-Brahmanic, anti-elitist, anti-casteist. You know what I mean? So they said that they had that is what they meant, and it was a question of terminology. Now, BJP obviously would not miss a ball like that, but BJP would also have to then come up and say that it believes in what the DMK is up against. The Sanatanism of casteism, the Sanatanism of deprivation. So let's not bring it. Sanatan Dharma is a word that has a lot of connotations. It is more of a wide, all-encompassing term. All-encompassing term, and it, as we said, it should not have come into politics.
So you have been constantly writing about evolution of Hinduism by co-opting subaltern religion. Even your last book, which is a compilation of articles published in various Bengali newspapers, dwelt on that. So in that context, and first let me have a disclaimer. This I'm not asking as a Jawhar Sircar politician, but Jawhar Sircar, an academician or an expert on this subject. So what is your take on Sanatan Dharma? Recently, Puri Shankaracharya said all the Brahmins, the ancestors of all the Brahmins, are Sanatanis. So what is your take on this?
This is a futile debate, because caste has interchanged all along. All along, there has been so much mobility, unrecognized mobility. Whenever a group moved from A to B, they assumed a newer position in the pay commission hierarchy. You know, these are what you call the structure and hierarchy. My faith has always been in the religion of the folk. As you have rightly pointed out, the religion of the folk tends to get subsumed, tends to get overlooked in what we call the great tradition. The great tradition has its own greatness, otherwise, and that symbolizes India. But the little tradition of the little man is also worth studying. So I have spent my life studying the little tradition of the little man, and I stand by them. I stand by them. And it's not one form of inequality that I stand by. All forms of equality, the increasing inequality in wealth, in personal worth, that is happening on a yearly basis. It grips my attention even more. And
no,
you cannot link it up with...
I'm sorry. But do you feel that BJP is somewhere confused about the actual Sanatan Dharma it wants to talk about? It also talks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. You have Mohan Bhagwat taking a U-turn on reservation. BJP trying to impose the majoritarian idea of Sanatan, which is the Brahmanical idea, is what you said. Is BJP confused somewhere about Sanatan Dharma? It's
not confused. It is hypocritical. You have to make up your mind.
Okay.
A confused person is a different thing. It's just hypocritical. It would like to retain to the upper caste. They go and say, we are fighting for you and for your ascendancy. To the middle, they say that we are seeking to liberate you from centuries of oppression. And we are giving you the only persons to give you rehabilitation, whereas others have given in exploitation. Then they go to the tribals and said, you are always Hindus. You are only Vanvasi Hindus. The tribals say, hang on, I've got my own religion. They say, no. That's just another form of... So they go and say different things to different constituents, and they have what is called. You see, in the 40s, I just can't remember the philosopher who had said that fascism means different people, different things to different people. Fascism has this beautiful way of meaning different things to different people and trying to get along with contradictions, but ultimately in favor of the elite. Ultimately, world history has said, whether it be the business elite, whether it be the social elite, whether it be the religious elite, fascism is a cover for the elite because it gets funded from the elite, strengthened by the elite, and it uses all other ploys to keep the disaffected sections of population in good humor. In good humor, that's all.
No, but I remember 2-3 days ago, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was talking to his cabinet colleagues, where he told them very categorically that please keep the Sanatan Dharma issue alive. It should not be eclipsed by issues like one nation, one election. So which is very clear that he is clear in his mind that this issue should not be eclipsed by any other issue. And especially after what Udayanidhi Stalin has said, he said that please go around the country, go to the town and explain the people what is the real meaning of Sanatan. So what are we going to see in the coming days when it comes to India Alliance in totality, how it's going to tackle this issue, and also vis-a-vis BJP, of course, what it's trying to say. So is it a catch-22 situation for India Alliance? Because we don't see too many partners talking more openly about it.
No, they would like, the BJP would like us to come up and say a lot of interesting things. They would like us to say a lot of interesting, controversial things. Why will we get into that trap? Our secularism is well known. We have Brahmins, we have Dalits. It's been a combination of all where these parties are concerned. We have, more important is we have the Musliman, we have the Christian, we have everyone. Whereas there was not a single MP.
Feel that Udayanidhi's talent statement.
In the Lok Sabha. Huh?
But Mr. Sircar, you don't feel that Udayanidhi's talent statement has created a difficult situation for India Alliance?
It is a statement that has greater relevance to his home state. To his home state that has a long tradition of caste liberation, from Periyar to Annadurai to everything. They have a long tradition of what we call the Dravidian movement, and let it be, he meant it for that state and let it be confined there. In fact, the Prime Minister screaming, wanting to make capital out of it is what comes out in his statement, that let's not miss this ball.
No, but Mr. Sircar, it might work in a region like Tamil Nadu, but how is it going to work in a region like North India, where you have an Acharya or a Hindu seer who is saying that, there's a 10 crore bounty for Udayanidhi's talent. Amit Shah talking in Rajasthan in a place where he says that, look, this India Alliance is anti-Hindu. Now, what will you do to this narrative if BJP goes?
No, there is no narrative. There is a manufactured angst. There is no narrative. So I am in a state where this issue has hardly ever been raised. I'm in a state where I was never asked what my caste is. In fact, I'm still confused. So people don't, as you move along, as you evolve, people get out of it. And this was one statement made in one state that the BJP thought they could send for a googly. They tried. It will flop on its own steam. It will not affect. It will not affect. I refuse to believe. They can always say a lot of things during elections. Musalman ke Dohistan, Kabristan ya Pakistan. They say a lot of nonsense during elections, so they might add one more to it because they've got professional gag writers who do it for them.
Amit is wanting to ask something.
Yes, setting aside politics of it, but socially speaking, do you think this is also an attempt, a continuation of this Hindu expansion of Hinduism? Because when they say Sanatan, they can, under its umbrella, they can bring tribal religion. They say Sarna Dharma of this Adivasis of West Bengal, Jharkhand and all also comes under Sarna Dharma. In Arunachal Pradesh, we have recently seen this Donli Polo or Rangpa all those the deities are given Hindu god or goddess look alike. Like Rangpa is now depicted as Shiva, almost like Shiva. So, and by doing that, they are actually expanding the horizon of Hinduism. And there, this concept of Sanatani is important. Do you feel so?
See, the development in society, religion, and the civilization sphere is at a different layer from the expansion on the basis of politics. These are completely two different levels. Indian civilization has been working on a Unitarian principle on getting further cosmopolitan, further unification of diverse ideas, further accommodation for centuries. And personally, there's nothing wrong in it, because if its intent is to bring in more into the fold, it's not strictly proselytization. It's not proselytization. It's different from proselytization. It's, I would put it, an accommodative spirit. That has gone on for centuries and much before the BJP or the RSS or anyone was born. And they can't come and claim credit also. It's a process that will be on for a long time. And there have been groups, ethnic groups, that have withstood it. And even after accepting, let me put it, the mainstream view of life, every ethnic group maintains its originality, its signature with its history through some ritual or the other. That's the fine part of it. They're not ostracized because they fall back. In Tamil Nadu, they put up dolls on a particular occasion. On somewhere somebody would go in for a ghost dance. See, these are not dead. You come under a broad mainstream, and BJP has also not got into this thing of putting in missionaries or all that. Its stance till now is others should not get into this game.
Yeah.
Its stand is more or less that others should not get into this game.
Right.
Because others were also there. So it's in some sort of a thing. I would separate, for the sake of clarity, the civilizational march, if one may put it, or the civilizational impulse, and the political hegemonization.
Right.
Does one benefit from the other? Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Right.
A person may be a very good Hindu, but he may not vote for the BJP. Why on earth should he vote? His voting instincts are different. The people who set fire to so many trains and buses along the Gangetic Valley for 3 days when Agnipath scheme was announced, did we check whether they had Janeus? Did we check? Because many of them came from good confirmed Hindu families. So when it comes to an angst against the government, they don't look at their I cards.
Right. No, absolutely. You're right. But I'll bring you back to a point. A few Congress leaders I was speaking to, and they've said that probably, the Nidhi Stalin statement has created an opportunity for India Alliance to spell out as to what kind of society they want, vis-a-vis the Sanatan Dharma issue, which BJP is wanting to rake up. Because now the Prime Minister has also said that please don't leave this issue unaddressed. Let this issue not be eclipsed. So the idea is very clear that they will go to the country, the entire country, telling the people that, look, India Alliance is anti-Hindu. Now it's up to India Alliance as to how they spell out their version of the society they want to bring for the people. So do you see this as a window of opportunity?
Dilo, supposing the Udayanidhi Stalin incident did not happen, supposing,
True.
Do you think they would have stopped themselves from calling the India Alliance anti-Hindu? Do you think they would have stopped it? They say, no, मैं आपको anti-Hindu कुछ नहीं बोलेंगे, because it's nonsense. Udayanidhi Stalin's incident is one more issue they can raise. But as I said, they would be raising Pakistan or Kabristan anyway. Once they get wild, they'll be raising these issues anyway. So let's not mix up their agenda for hotting up the elections with an incident, number one. Number two, what more do you need when the word inclusive is the heart of the India Alliance? We don't need to hold a book like the size of a telephone directory to say, look at each page. The word inclusive was put in deliberately to exclude those who don't believe in inclusive. That's the soul of it. Before, in Indian history, I don't think any alliance has ever used the word inclusive.
Right. Okay.
Adding to what Nilu said, I'll just add to that. Like the opposition is, by being apologetic in to carry forward the debate, are they missing the bus? Because this could have been a good opportunity to debate over this ideological or philosophical difference between this Vedic Hinduism and Manusmriti, Hinduism propagated by Manusmriti. So these two essential differences could have been debated.
You see, the party that brought in Jagjivan Ram, the party that has carried forward the Dalits, doesn't need to come out with a slick technical explanation where it stands for. I'm talking of the old Congress tradition. I'm calling it the party that has fought for the Musliman and for the Dalit in Bengal doesn't need to come out with one more social media explanation. It doesn't need to. The word inclusive is good enough. Look at all the parties and look at how they are recognized in the field. Is any party, Samajwadi or any party, Congress or Trinamool or any party, casteist? No. Is any party elitist? No. All the parties that have come and joined the fold may have their caste components. Like inside North India, they may have their caste component because that's how it works there. But Bengal, nobody even asked for it. The point is, this is not the time to get into philosophical discussions of a philosophy that took 4,000 years to emerge, not 4 months before the elections.
Right. So
what you stand for, inclusiveness, you will have to prove after you have won. I have not said if you have won.
Right.
After you have won, you need to establish it. That's okay.
Mr. Sircar, I just want to come to the last lap of the interview now, and it would be unfair if I don't ask you about the upcoming special session of Parliament, which Modi government has called for. Are you still, what do you feel about the agenda, what Modi ji will do? Because in the last 1 week, we have seen many big ideas floating. Modi ji started with Chandrayaan, then he went to the solar mission. We had some reports about the Jupiter system. Then comes the one nation, one poll. Then all big ideas floating. What is really coming up?
It's all reminds me of the Trade Fair Authority that has been given some fancy name with gash pink as the chosen color. Now, it's all kite flying. It's all kite flying going on. It's only when the food is put on my banyan leaf will I talk. And before that, they're putting up all sorts of things to hope that because they're playing, they are desperate. Believe me, they are desperate and they'll do anything. They'll float everything from triple talaq to anything that they want. Anything is possible at this stage because they know that everything has a catchment audience. Everything has a catchment audience. So it's completely open until they bring out the agenda. It's almost like an ambush session. So far, our ideas are being ambushed. And you are led in different directions into different controversies and to different things. It's almost, they have practiced, communalists have practiced on something called the value of rumors. Rumors. Fascists and communalists thrive on rumors. आप जानते हैं वहां क्या हुआ था? Arey Baba, hum baal bach gaye. That sort of thing. That's the usual story that they carry on.
Apart from
Let's not fall into that.
You are right that there is a value to the rumors, and this is what BJP is capitalizing on. But the point is that there are a few things which are tangible. You can see it, you can feel it. And one of them is, of course, the renaming of India, Bharat. Now, G20 summit invites have gone. On those invites, it's written the president of Bharat. Now, And then again, this thing we floated that, look, the special session, there could be an announcement on the renaming of Bharat.
There is no renaming. We'll need another session even on this. There is no renaming. The Constitution, Article 1 starts by saying India, that is Bharat. It's an interchangeable name. Why don't we get it? They are re-emphasizing on one of the issues. We had what we call a name for foreigners, name to tackle the international, to converse with the international community, and we have one name for domestic talk. All of us call ourselves Bharatiyas. All of us say that Bharat mein ya Hindustan mein hum. So that's part of the colloquium. So it's only a question of re-emphasis and make it sound like we are the ones who brought it up. Yeah, good. Ambedkar will start laughing now. Say, hey, Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer will have a heart problem. He said, I fought for these words. Pandit Nehru will say, I signed under this word. India, that is Bharat. So it's a question of creating a controversy, whether it's done. Creating a controversy to say, I invented. The whole world thinks that Narendra Modi invented yoga. Not Patanjali, no one. It's Narendra Modi who invented yoga. By marketing a concept, by creating a controversy around a concept, by getting the media to say, Haji, 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 and putting all sorts of television angles, you appear to appropriate something that was always there. In the case of India and Bharat, they were always there. All he's trying to do is he's completely run out of ideas, fresh ideas. His consultants, his highly paid gag writers, slogan writers, acronym writers, In fact, I'd like to talk to some of his acronym writers who ensure that all his schemes come into an acronym. Because when I play Scrabble,
this is the time of packaging and how you market yourself. So do you think when it comes to marketing, BJP has outfoxed opposition?
It's not BJP. It's a corporate world doing it for the BJP. The BJP is a front of big capital. The earlier we realized it because who was the one who drew benefits under the BJP regime? Look at your statistics and you'll understand. There was this comedy where he said, "Arey yaar, mujhe agar vote dena hai to unko denge. Inko numainde ke kyun vote denge?"
Why are the opposition ruling states not reaching out to the corporates, that the corporates may also help the opposition? Why can't the corporates help?
The corporates have surely supported something or the other. But the point is, this is a different type of corporate. This corporate is a leech. Why do we talk of leeches? Because leeches are drawing your own blood. So a corporate that draws out, that leeches profit from an airport that took hundreds of crores to build and then is valued on a fancy note sheet and valued under fancy accounts and then given to you. This corporate does not believe so much in creating new assets as to scrounging and leeching on existing national assets. That's the point. Those believe in creating new frontiers, new areas, new employment. Obviously, people would support. Obviously, everybody would support. But scrounging off, I've used the word leech, scrounging off existing national assets that took 70 years to build. And even ISRO, the way he's publicizing it, that he created ISRO. The man who says that Ganesh was out of head was added by plastic surgery in the Vedic age. Also, he's known to be non-science, anti-science, and even nonsense. How does he come up with ISRO? Just because he finds another lollipop. He just wants a series of lollipop. The agencies have told him, this is the run-up before event, and he's been on event management mode the day he came.
Right. But before I wind up the interview, I would just want to ask you again that is there a curious element to the upcoming parliament session? Are you curious about what is going to happen?
See, I've been there. We have the business. And then I cast a glance at it and let it go. Not unduly perturbed. Because what matters to me is what comes out in the morning, known as revised list of business.
Okay.
The business says it goes up to say 2 o'clock. The revised list of business said 3 acts are to be there, 3 bills will be passed in the afternoon. and 3 very controversial bills.
Right.
Like that Manu Sanghita bill, Manu Sanghita now, what is it? No, the other Samhita bill, they'll all be placed in the. So we are used to it. These people do not believe in the give and take of parliamentary relations. For that, you need a level of education. For that, you need a level of education. They have been deprived of that level of education. So instead of being hard on them, I would say that had their leadership been educated and developed a worldview concomitant on education, they would have understood these nuances. Westminster is not something that you take a selfie outside. Westminster is something that you have to understand as a living organization, as something that is living. You have to understand how they concede. Do you know that in the House of Commons, they have less than 2/3 of the chairs? So how does it function? Because in no house do all the MPs come. They are supposed to look after their constituencies as well. They have other problems. So, but when there is a whip and a bill, they all cram in. When 3/3 come in, so some are sitting on the aisle, some are sitting there, some are squeezed on somebody's lap. It gives a sense of tension. And here we are now going to get into a new building that is going to make it seem that parliaments don't work. There's enough to play football. Play football. So it's a way of looking at it.
Right.
Way of looking at it. He hopes to fill them up with states of his choice.
Right.
Languages of his choice. He hopes to fill it up. Hopes.
So all eyes, of course, now would be on the 5 days special parliament session, which is starting from 18th of September. I'm sure you'll need loads of energy, Mr. Sircar. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much for coming on the Federal. Thank you, Samir, so much. You wanted to say something, Samir?
No, thank you.
Okay. So we'll wind up the interview, and one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.